He says, Americans used to love cowboys. Now they seem like a quaint part of our past. Cowboys were our heroes, as were soldiers, explorers, and astronauts. Now it's Tony Fauci and Michelle Obama who get the hero treatment. And it's just,
That's the other part.
I don't know about the sort of like cultural cachet that Fauci has, or compared to cowboys.
Yeah. You don't remember all those John Wayne movies where he played Tony Fauci? Welcome in to all members present and worldwide. I'm calling this meeting of the Piece of Shit Book Club to order. I am your decorated chair, Mac Douglas. And if you attended the last meeting, you'll be pleased to know that Cash and the rest of the Menophiles have been dislodged. Once again, this podcast is a safe space for soft boys. And to underscore that, let me bring in the mushiest men I know. This week's panel of so-called experts. Let's see who we have. Welcome in, Mr. Chip Wilson.
Hey, good to be here, Mac. I got to send my flowers to the talent agency that we keep getting you hosts from. But we keep needing to fire people, or they're too hot. They get hired somewhere else right away. So it's tough cycling, but
Cash just wasn't a good fit, but I think I'm in for the long haul. But good to see you, Chip. Thanks for coming in. We also have joining us this week, Jane Lynch. Welcome in, Jane.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Mac.
Thanks, Jane. And let's see. Last but not least, we have our esteemed military expert, Dr. Bo Dashington, PhD. Welcome in, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm feeling extra soft today. Before we hit the record button, we were discussing Bill Cosby, and that's a rough one. I'm feeling very soft.
He definitely makes you soft and not hard. I'll give you that. Well, all right, you maggots, take a knee and listen up, because the brass is too busy checking boxes. It's up to me to tell you the truth. Our military is being systematically dismantled by wokester Antifa-loving radicals. While we were fighting for your freedom, they infiltrated from the rear and packed their ranks with gays and ladies. And this week's book is ready to fix this mess. Yes, it's the grievance manifesto, War on Warriors, behind the betrayal of the men who keep us free. From alleged date rapist and former assistant weekend trailer park supervisor at Fox and Friends, Pete Hegseth. He also runs the U.S. military now as Secretary of War. But before we cover the waterfront and all things Pete, let's first jump into the book report segment. Yes, the book report is a regular roundup of doings in the world of books. If our producers are listening, we need an audio theme or something for the book report. Something that says like, the book report.
I'm Kevin O'Leary, and this is the Piece of Shit Book Report.
I thought you renamed this like the perineum scan or something.
Yeah, the perineum scan.
No, back when this was the what was last week's show? The Blue Chip Club, the Primal Systems Blue Chip Club. Yeah, it was the perimeter scan. But as I said, the Menophiles are out, and we have retaken PSBC for us book loving boys. So let me open it up, boys. What items do you have for the book report this meeting?
A book on the radar, which I haven't read yet, is there was a big, maybe you guys saw in the news as well, that J.D. Vance has announced that he's publishing another book, which is due out. I'm not sure when it's due out. It's due out soon. It's about religion. It's about how it's called Communion.
Oh, that's fun.
And it's about how he found his way back to being religious. So it's probably really similar to the Rouchevy book that we read last week.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Definitely never read Hillbilly Elegy. And I won't read this one, but I'm happy for him.
Well, if it's anything like Rouchevy, then I would be interested to know what he thinks about the libraries around the States.
All right. Thank you for that, Dr. Dashington. Let me pass it over to Jane Lynch. Jane, have you done your homework this week?
I have not, I'm afraid. I've had a very busy work week. 3 weeks now. So
we all got shit going on. Right. Chip Wilson. What items do you have for us, Chip?
Yeah, I read The Late Great Planet Earth by Hal Lindsey from like the 70s. It was like the first of these apocalyptic Christian rapture kind of millenarian books that I think like was a huge mainstream success and kind of entered that whole end of days thing into like popular popular discourse in the U.S. a little bit. So it was pretty interesting. The guy basically, figured the world was going to end in 1988. He had these grand theories of a big old war in the Middle East, Russia invading Israel, China jumping in, Europe being taken over by sort of Hitler 2.0, who was like the Antichrist. It was okay.
Seems to have missed the mark on every single one.
Yeah. Turns out he was wrong about most of it.
Right.
Is this the one that you were just kind of going to take a cursory glance in and then you just got sucked in and read the whole thing?
Yeah, it was not to call it a page turner, but it did suck me in, and yeah.
All right. Well, I got a few things I wanted to share. Some news. We said we weren't doing news, but we got news. So Big Five publishing house Hachette just got caught with its pants down. They spent months hyping femgore horror novel called Shy Girl by a writer named Mia Ballard, only to pull it from the shelves last week after readers realized it was 78% AI-generated slop. Ballard is blaming a, quote, acquaintance editor for the unintentional bot work, which is, I think, a funny kind of excuse. It's like, well, I didn't plan to write 78% of it, but I expected that my ghostwriter would. Book's been pulled from the shelves. Big loss for the femgore horror community.
Sorry, femgore horror? Can you say that?
Yeah, femgore horror. Femgore horror.
Femgore
yeah,
horror.
Femgore horror.
That's like sounds like the name of the lead orc in like some fantasy novel, femgore horror.
Femgore horror, yeah.
That's kind of like, that's like the new, just like blaming the aides for a bad tweet. Blaming your political aides for like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Blaming the aides. Missing work again, just blame the aides.
Blaming. Oh, yeah, sorry. It's our ghostwriters use the AI.
Moving on, we sometimes like to take a look back at previous PSBC luminaries. So this week we're spotlighting Steven Seagal, who we profiled a few episodes ago for his fantastic work.
Wave the Shadow Wolves?
Wave the Shadow Wolves. Yeah, real piece of shit. Well, Arsenio Hall, if you remember him, talk show host from the 90s, he just released a new memoir in which he claims Seagal arrived at his birthday party once in a helicopter. And then the man later appeared as a guest on his show carrying a gun. Says a Hall, quote, I dapped him up and thought, this motherfucker's packing. I never got it. What's up with bringing your gun on the air?
What's up with, like, no disrespect to Arsenio Hall, but hasn't he been off the air for like 30 years? Like it feels like a little bit late for his tell-all biography about celebrities from the early 90s.
It popped up on my newsfeed. I mean, people must be interested, but I'm sure people want to hear all about how Bill Clinton sounded playing the sax and, stuff like that. Anyhow, Seagal celebrates his 74th birthday this Friday, April 10th. Happy B-Day to you, Mr. Seagal.
Happy birthday.
Okay, a few new releases we're keeping an eye on. When I saw this one, I thought, 100% we have to talk about this. I, ages ago, hosted a short-running podcast on loads. And the thing was, it wasn't all just about ejaculate. It was about different kinds of loads, like
laundry.
Loads of laundry, like a load-bearing bridge, something like that. On this podcast, we've really only been focusing on bad books. We're taking piece of shit to mean bad books. But coming out April 7th is You've Been Pooping All Wrong, How to Make Your Bowel Movements a Joy. So a book actually that's about shit. From the back cover, no one would expect you to have stunning teeth if you were never shown a toothbrush. You would struggle to fall asleep if you never knew how to turn off the bedroom lights. But no one talks about the fundamentals of pooping. A GI's guide to how anyone can achieve poophoria.
GI, the gastrointestinal, or like a military?
General infantryman.
Yes, exactly.
Did Pete Hegseth write this?
GI.
Yeah.
It's probably the same target demo as Pete Hegseth. There's just people in their 50s. They're struggling to shit all the time.
Is this the book that Hegseth was referring to and telling everyone to read when he called them all to Quanticum, whatever that base is?
Yeah, all these fat, constipated generals.
So poophoria, it's like when you take a large bowel movement and it stimulates your vagus nerve. Like some people, like we talked about retaining a few episodes ago. This was like an ejaculate retainer, but some people actually enjoy retaining their poo, and they get poophoria from it.
Okay. This is like activating the pineal gland in your forehead.
Your vagus nerve. That's like in your.
But what does it give you? It's just pleasure,
Poophoria.
or is this
Poophoria?
all right? Is it like a path to transcendence?
No, it's just about like holding in a big shoot and then like letting it go and feeling good about yourself.
Well, that's awful to know about.
Comes out April 7th, $27.96 on hardcover. It's #1 on Amazon in digestive organ diseases. 256 pages. Also of interest, 18 Days in Heaven. I left my body. I met Jesus. What he told me will alter your eternity, by a fella named Gabe Poirot. This is a young guy. At just 20 years old, Gabe Poirot flatlined after a catastrophic accident. Though doctors were able to revive him, Gabe remained in a coma that would last 18 days. One moment he lay on the pavement, blood pouring from his ears. The next, his spirit was lifted through a tunnel of living light, carried straight into the radiant throne room of heaven. You don't have to be afraid of heaven. You don't have to be afraid of death. Heaven is real. This is number 12 on all of Amazon. This guy is I don't know if you know, well, you probably don't know this guy because none of you guys are kind of into this genre, but he is an end times TikTok youth preacher. He's got millions of subscribers on YouTube, whatever platform, IG and all this sort of stuff. And he's a young fella. As I said, he's like maybe 22, 23. So got to give this guy a lot of respect. He is grifting hard and is successful at a very young age. 178 pages. The last book we're looking at here this week, there has just been an explosion of hockey erotica. And we covered some of it recently with Sean Avery's piece of shit book. But also available is A Puck Between Friends by J.R. Gray. Quote, when my best friend offers, and if you can make sense of this sentence, you're better than me. I'm reading this properly. When my best friend offers to come as my date to my sister's wedding to get back at my sister for breaking his heart, I agree, thinking it will be hilarious. What I didn't consider was that I've been in love with him half my life and all the consequences of us fake dating. Between the unexpected sexual attention, hockey, and secrets we are keeping, I don't know how we're going to make it through the season. $20 on paperback, 410 pages, which is maybe too many pages. Available. Oh, you're in luck. It came out April 1st.
I'm just taking a look at some of the tropes in this one. You've got like fake dating, bi awakening, and then idiots to lovers. I'm not sure about what that trope is.
Yeah, that caught my eye too. They lay it out right in the Amazon page. It's like, whatever your, I don't know, use a trope, maybe like whatever your kink is. But idiots to lovers. I've never gone on Pornhub and typed in idiots to lovers. Like,
I also like that another trope is just goalie.
Yeah.
I'm just looking up like hockey erotica on Goodreads, and apparently, I guess maybe I don't know if this is a general trend with hockey erotica or erotica in general, but where the titles are all weird puns, pucking around, taking shots, trying to score, empty net, breaking the defensive zone. Some of those are kind of low-hanging
fruit. Like this one here, this is part 3 of a 4-part hockey erotica series, and they all use puck for fuck.
Mm.
Oh, is that what it is?
A puck between friends, Doctor.
Look forward to the Netflix adaptation of this series.
Don't hold your breath. All right, well, that was the book report. I'll now pass it over to my book club buddy, Chip Wilson, who's going to lead us through a discussion of Pete Hegseth's fantastic book, War on Warriors, Behind the Betrayal of the Men Who Keep Us Free. Over to you, Chip.
All right. Well, I'll do my best to lead, but I think we were just discussing before. I think 3 of us read it. Jane obviously didn't. But I'm really impressed you pushed through this one as well. I think it was kind of tough sledding. It does suck. It sucks in a lot of ways. One is that it's hard to pull too much interesting from it. I think the whole thing is pretty cookie cutter. but we'll kind of do our best here. Major Pete, not to be confused with Mayor Pete, but born in 1980, Army vet, Fox News host, and now Secretary of War. Part of the communion of Reformed evangelical churches. He's like an ultra-conservative evangelical Christian. He has some really dorky sort of crusader role-playing tattoos. I think that's what he's known for.
Yeah.
Known for showing up to work drunk.
Yeah, point of order. I've got a long list of all of his drunken shenanigans. Once you're done your general overview, I'd love to get into it.
Yeah, well, this seems, if you search him, because if you're like doing any secondary research or anything, this is the most popular topic.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's kind of the thing that's most likable about him, is showing up to work drunk.
If you're a Fox News host, I mean, yeah.
Well, let me go through the list then. So some of these are likable, some of these are maybe less likable.
Sure.
A lot of these are from a New Yorker article by a lady named Jane Mayer called Pete Hegseth's Secret History. Quote, I've seen him drunk so many times. I've seen him dragged away, not a few times, but multiple times. This is from a coworker when he worked for a veterans NGO. According to the complaint, at one such event on Memorial Day, okay, so it was Memorial Day, Hegseth was, quote, totally sloshed and needed to be carried to his room because he was, quote, so intoxicated. So you'll see it's kind of a recurring theme that he likes to have a few cocktails, but he can't seem to handle himself, which is like the gang of us. We've had drinks together lots of times. I don't think I've ever had to carry any of you guys back to your room. But continuing, quote, among the staff, the disgust for Pete was pretty high. Most veterans don't think that he represents them or their high standards of excellence. Okay, whatever. Quote, treats the organization funds like they're a personal expense account for partying, drinking, using CVA events, that's his NGO, as little more than opportunities to hook up with women on the road. All right, well, it's kind of greasy because it's work. At an altercation at a casino and a hotel Christmas party in which food was thrown from the balcony. That's good, clean fun, I think. Following
like
month,
tossing a watermelon.
Yeah, we've tossed.
We've all been there.
Yeah. We have done that. So let's not.
Yeah. Okay, so we've done that. Following month, during an event in Cleveland, Hegseth, who had gone with his team to a bar around the corner from the hotel, was described as, quote, completely drunk in a public place. We've done that. Well, on an official tour through Ohio, he was drunkenly chanting, quote, kill all Muslims, kill all Muslims. All right.
I'm starting to regret saying this was likable.
Less endearing.
Yeah.
Hegseth took the CVA team to a strip club where he was, quote, so drunk he tried to get on the stage and dance with the strippers. Quote, we had to get him off stage. She had to intervene with security to prevent him from getting thrown out. I'll give him a pass for this one.
Yeah.
Who among us hasn't tried to get on stage at a titty bar and almost got thrown out or did get thrown out?
I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a titty bar. I believe it was a dick and balls bar. Yeah, we were at a gay strip club.
It was a gay strip club that you were ejected from while I was standing in the corner having a heart-to-heart with a veteran.
Yeah, it's very topical.
Who was also one of the strippers.
Could have happened to any of us. And also in Pete's defense, he may have just been trying to give a toonie tap, right?
A toonie for the audience?
Toonie tap?
A toonie tap? A toonie tap is like where you put a toonie is a $2 coin. A toonie tap is where you put the $2 coin in your mouth and you lay backwards on the stage and the dancer takes it out of your mouth one way or another. It might be, you guys are looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. It might be like a Toronto thing.
You could Google, never heard of this.
Google toonie tap. That's a time-honored tradition. Although inflation may have killed it. I don't know if it still goes on. It's been a while. Okay, continuing on. So we'll give him a pass for that one. Another time at a hotel Christmas party, he was, quote, noticeably intoxicated, had to be carried up to his room. And these next ones are from the congressional record during his confirmation. Fox News employees have reported that after this one's funny. After a St. Patrick's Day segment on St. Patrick's Day, after being on TV, Hegseth drank several beers that had been sitting out for hours. These employees also noted that the segment finished before 10 a.m. and they were shocked at Hegseth's behavior. It's not too bad. One current and two former Fox News employees told NBC News that they felt they had to, quote, babysit Hegseth in order to mitigate the effects of his drinking. We'd have to call him to make sure he didn't oversleep because we knew he'd been out partying the night before. And also in November of 2024, one Fox employee said they smelled alcohol on him as recently as this past 3 months ago. So the guy kind of gets carried away
And can get racist.
and can get racist.
Yeah, and
Incredibly
the occasional sexual assault allegations as well.
Yes, and I didn't get into that. There is also a more serious allegation about him sexually assaulting some lady at some Republican event as well.
I think it's multiple ladies, not just one.
Yeah, is that right? Could be.
Yeah, what I was just reading is it was 2 incidents at just before midnight and just before 7 a.m. on essentially the same day.
Well, Dr. Dashington, then you'll be pleased to know that he has publicly avowed to not drink a drop of alcohol during his time as Secretary of War. Quote, I need to make sure the senators and the troops and President Trump and everyone else knows that when you call me 24/7, you're getting fully dialed in, Pete, just like you always did in Iraq and Afghanistan. So this is the biggest deployment of my life, and there won't be a drop of alcohol on my lips while I'm doing it. So problem solved.
Great.
What about the racism?
What was his rank when he was in the military before he was appointed to the? How high did you called him a major at the start of this? Yeah. Was he a major?
I don't know that much about the ins and outs of promotion in the U.S. military, but I believe he was up to captain, and then he was back in the U.S. in the
National Guard.
In the National Guard, and was promoted to major. But I think it's like an automatic kind of promotion system by seniority.
Yeah, it's pretty. His military. I was trying to make sense of it. It's pretty. He was in and out of the military for a long time. It sounds like he was, the way he writes about it, it sounds like he was in the military for like 20 years, but he actually wasn't. Mm-hmm. He went from Princeton and received a commission. And then I think that's when he did his first tours in Iraq and stuff, when he was a second lieutenant, which is, I think, the lowest level of commissioned officer you can have. It is in the Canadian British Army. Presumably it's the same in the US. And then he kind of went out and kind of came back in. And then, as Chip said, it was later on that when he was in the National Guard, that he was, I guess, promoted to major through seniority and years of experience, I guess.
Yeah. I think he started at Guantanamo Bay, didn't he? It was like his first.
Yeah.
Before Iraq. He was like a supervisor there or something.
And then you typically run the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
It's a standard.
So they have gone back to their meritocracy that they were all talking about. That it's all merit based now.
Yeah. It goes major, weekend, Fox and Friends, co-host, Secretary of Defense. That's how McNamara did it, how Rumsfeld did it. Yeah. It's a well-worn path.
Oh, Rummy. Do you miss the days of Rummy? It didn't even occur to me that we might be speaking about Donald fucking Rumsfeld. Oh my God.
The no one knowns.
Hegseth misses his rum right now, I think.
Hey-o.
But overall, like, this is a real kind of headache, this book, to get through. It's kind of like you're like encountering the Borg when you interact with this style of like culture war media, because it just feels like this checklist of going through the same talking points, using the same kind of language,
and again and again and again,
over and over. It's this
so repetitive.
It's, I guess, because he's a presenter and things like that, and it's like rage bait media is what he comes from. So the style chapter by chapter is sort of like escalating rants about a given topic, and then like a few kind of punchy jokes or whatever thrown in there. But then he continues to sort of repeat the same conclusion. Like, I don't know how many chapters there were that basically just concluded by saying the military was too woke.
Yeah, I guess it's maybe worth highlighting like the central thesis in the book, which is
military too woke.
Military is too woke, but the military allowed itself to become too woke. We were all busy fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan and protecting freedom, and the left came in and fucked it all up. And now it's woke, and now nobody wants to join the military. Standards are falling. The sort of main themes are, he doesn't like trans people a lot. He's really, really into trans people, but not in a positive way. He doesn't like women in active combat. He uses, the boys in the military, the men in the military, repeatedly throughout the whole book. He doesn't like the idea of he's really, for a guy who says he's not racist, he's really concerned with what black people are doing. So he doesn't like, I don't know what's called, like affirmative action, but any sort of black guy who seems to get ahead in the military, he seems to think that it's some sort of political agenda to bring down whitey. And then he gets into some stuff about the Bible, like the book. I don't know. It ends with a whole bunch of like Bible talk, and that's where it all went sort of south for me.
Go back to like the first thing that Chip said and that you said, Mac, is that like where the source of the problem is that the liberal leftist crazies did all this, and then the military let it happen, and he never kind of says or explores this explicitly, but the implication is that the military shouldn't have been following what they were told to do by the Democratic government, not just the Democrats, but they are the military of a democratic state. So the implication that he never really says out loud is that the military shouldn't be listening to what they're told to do if they're being told to do it by the Democrats, essentially, which is kind of a scary proposition. So they should have just mutinied? Like,
he prefers the old like Turkish model of the military stepping in, doing some coup.
Yeah, but he doesn't even allow beards. How can you, if you're going to support Turkish, are you going to be like Turkish military? You got to allow beards.
Yeah, curly mustaches.
Yeah.
The other thing I would add is that there's sort of like the B plot or additional goal of this book, which is it's like his CV.
The myth making.
In any CV, like I don't blame anyone for embellishing their own accomplishments or anything if you're putting in kind of a job application, but it's really about that. Like, 30% I'd say is just it's about Pete. About how Pete rose up, against adversity to have his own success and so on and so forth.
Pete's adventures.
Exactly.
But he waits until like halfway through the book to get into any of that. It's sort of jarring in terms of the flow of the book because it's these thematic chapters. Okay, we're going to complain about trans people. Now we're going to complain about women. And then once you're like already halfway through, it's like, okay, yeah, I also, I was in Guantanamo, I was in Iraq and blah, blah, blah.
I played college basketball.
Yeah, if he had mixed in these anecdotes or these kind of life stories throughout all of the political whinging, I think it would have made for a more readable book.
Don't agree at all. The stories are so dull. If they're supposed to be like war stories, like proving his mettle, like they're boring stories where nothing really happens. He was doing essentially desk work. And a few points doing intelligence, which can sound very sexy and exciting, but most intelligence is just reviewing data and then reporting on it. So like, his stories are dull.
You're totally right. Like there's a point where he was talking about like, I had all this information coming in and I had to pass on to my, to my fellow warriors. I looked at the laptop and it was 3 a.m. and like I'd never felt happier than this moment. Never felt like I was doing more. And like when I was reading that, I looked and it was like 4 a.m. while I was reading this book, just basically doing the same thing in my like the shitty room I'm staying in. So, but yeah, the stories themselves are super, super boring. I wanted to maybe we could do like a little game, kind of like Family Feud. I was thinking we could call it Control F Feud maybe. So I wanted to throw out a topic and then ask you guys to pick a word, and I'll search the doc. So whoever picks the most used word that falls under this category wins.
We need more games on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm trying to do one right now.
The choices.
I know. I'm saying it's a good idea. I'm on board.
Yeah. Sorry, Bo.
I'm just double checking the rules. You're going to give us the words, then we each pick one, and we see who picks the best one.
We're going to do it Family Feud style. So I'm going to name like a theme. So it's as if we're polling the book. So
okay. Oh, okay.
Right. So if I were to like things, if I were to ask things associated with pigs, you might pick pork. Hogs. You might pick slop. You might pick sty. Right.
Okay. That's getting cut.
Oh my gosh.
Inappropriate.
Holy moly. Okay. So we'll go Jane, Bo, Mac. All right. So the first one, the theme here is the enemy within. Pete has a big issue with the military. Can you guess what it is?
I'd go with woke.
Damn it. Black.
Woke, black. Okay. And Mac?
I'm going to go with ideology.
Okay, that's pretty good. So we've got black 76 times. Ideology? 20 times.
Oof.
Oh, sorry, Mac.
Ouch.
And woke appears a total of 75 times. So we'll say Bo takes it. Although I think probably some of those he might just be talking about a Black Hawk helicopter or something.
He does mention Black Hawk Down as well.
Okay. So we know at least one of those is taken off. So,
but it could have been in a racist reference to Somalis, so we can't count that out.
That's true. Okay. Next question be what makes a man? Let's start with Mac, Bo, then Jane.
Tough.
Yeah, I was going to say strong.
And I will go with courage.
All right. So tough, we've got 20 times. That's pretty good. Strong, we've got 22 times. And
Courage.
29. So we'll see. Jane takes that one.
Man, he does like men. I'll give him that.
Loves them.
I got a little man excerpt.
Yeah.
It was the most special moment I'd ever experienced looking at these men, strong, tough, from Nowhereville, America, just like me, my men. They're all individuals, but tonight, in the here and now, no excuses, no medications, no women, just men. Men trained to fight, men tough as nails, men with no distractions.
Yeah, he loves men, and he wants to be a man so badly. That's kind of like the third strain of it for me. It's like this book is kind of like a gender affirmation project.
Where he dedicates it to his kids.
Yeah, he really wants it to sort of just prove that he is a man.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, he's a macho man. I'll give him that, right? He's more Cash Donington than Mac Douglas, right?
Sure. I mean, he still puts it on a whole lot. I don't think he's as. There's some kind of deep insecurity that comes across with Pete for me. If you're standing on the rooftop yelling that you're a man, I feel like it just seems like you really need to prove it. My final one. Let's just try one more. So the world at war. So what words do you think would be relevant to evolving warfare for a man that's an expert?
Islam.
China.
Okay. Jane?
I'm just going to say bomb.
Okay. That's pretty good. Islam, surprisingly, only 6 times in the book. And that's one thing.
System when he was drunkenly shouting it at the hotel.
Bomb, 11 results.
Yeah.
China, 8 results.
Islam's only 6 times in the whole book.
That's something that came through to me was that whole discussion was just sort of treated as common knowledge or something that doesn't need to be touched upon.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. I was thinking the exact same thing. You don't have to his audience, you don't need to convince anyone that Islam's bad. They already think that. It's the same way that you don't have to, when he mentions Al-Qaeda, he doesn't explain anything about them. He knows the audience hates Al-Qaeda, and so there's no need to explain.
Wait, you don't?
Don't.
What's on the fence? Don't hate Al-Qaeda?
To what, Islam or Al-Qaeda?
Never forget. I'm talking about Al-Qaeda. Carefully.
Yeah, I'm anti-terrorist organizations. I'm not anti-world religions.
And also, the word drone is only used 5 times. If you want to talk about priorities for someone in the field at this point in time, he's more concerned about people doing support for childbearing members of the military than any kind of discussion of drone warfare or something.
Yeah, it's DEI is the problem. It's
and
the drones
DUIs.
are fine. We don't need to discuss that. What was your you said that the book was a real slog and there wasn't much in there that actually was enjoyable. What was there anything that stuck out to you that you thought was kind of funny though?
I chuckled once or twice, I have to admit.
Intentionally or otherwise, I mean.
He's trying to be funny, and at a few points it's almost funny. I'm trying to remember what the parts are. His stupid joke, and I think it's a chapter heading, that he thinks that leftists are trying to turn the military into the very special forces. Which is so dumb. It's almost kind of funny. It's I don't agree with his worldview, but there was some other, I can't think what it is. There was some other joke he made that almost made me smirk. As a general, the tone of the book is very kind of wienerish. The humor is not actually funny. I
meant more kind of unintentionally funny or anything that was It's so over the top.
I've got one. I've got the passage here. He says, Americans used to love cowboys. Now they seem like a quaint part of our past. Cowboys were our heroes, as were soldiers, explorers, and astronauts. Now it's Tony Fauci and Michelle Obama who get the hero treatment. And
That's the other part.
I don't know about the sort of like cultural cachet that Fauci has, or compared to cowboys.
Yeah.
You don't remember all those John Wayne movies where he played Tony Fauci?
Oh, I don't think there's a lot of like Tony Fauci erotica getting pumped out every single week either, compared to cowboys.
There's one other part that's like maybe almost unintentionally funny that I just remembered as well, because it reminded me of a running joke that we've made many times. But there's a part where he's complaining about diversity, and he says, you know, the military slogan was "diversity is our biggest strength," and he's saying that's the dumbest slogan, and he's kind of technically right, because you know diversity is not the American military's biggest strength. Nuclear weapons are their biggest strength, but it also reminds me of that. It's a dumb joke that we've made a whole bunch of times. There's that famous quote by Malala, where Malala says, "Why is it so hard to build a school and so easy to build a tank?" It's like, well, actually, tanks are really complicated. They're really hard to build.
Yeah, man, an A1 Abrams, like that's not something you can just put together in a weekend by yourself, you and your buddies.
Yeah.
That's not something you send a bunch of high school kids to a country with a leader to build.
Yeah.
My favorite passage was, and I don't know why it struck me as so funny, but it's just like, for a man to be complaining about this stuff, is his June rant about the month of June.
It used to be for
I have
Grandpa
it here.
in Normandy.
What's he got against June?
No, he fucking loves June, but like the gays ruined it. Quote, June has always been an important month for the U.S. Army. The anniversary of D-Day is always a day for reverence. The Army's birthday is a week later in June. A large sheet cake would be cut by whatever officer had the cleanest cavalry sword. And often we did it live on Fox News. June's the month of 4-day weekends and training holidays. That was until 2012 when the Obama-Biden administration reversed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and the military adopted the entire month as Pride Month. Just like, we used to fucking love getting drunk on D-Day. We used to love fucking cutting cake with a big sword. It was fucking great, guys. Long weekends. And then the gays had to ruin it all.
There's this Tony has throughout it that's like this really back in my day thing that annoys me because he's only like
my
40
age,
when he wrote
yeah.
it. Yeah, like, and he talks like he was in the military in like the 50s or something.
Just I think just cutting a big, first of all, who wants the sheet cake? Cutting a big cake with a sword, really that fun? And who's stopping you anyway?
That sounds awesome. What are you talking about?
When you're drunk? You're drunk and you're on the news.
Yeah.
But you can put a pride flag on a sheet cake.
Yeah, he could be, I don't know. Seems like the guy's being overly pessimistic, because that's my point exactly. Who's stopping him from cutting big sheet cakes on Fox and Friends with a sword?
But that actually speaks to, I think, a lot of the grievances in this book are like, it just seems so minor. Even when he's talking about the DEI thing in the military, I would say there's probably a cynical angle to that stuff from the U.S. military. Like
Sure.
For DEI recruitment, if you're like recruiting from, let's say, like sort of marginalized groups, I think that the U.S. has actually done that kind of thing in the past. I think it's been sort of policy to do so. But yeah, I was looking at it and like, you know, like one thing is big complaint is like this like sort of sensitivity training and so on that people do in the military now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure this stuff is like a couple hours a year
month?
or once,
Yeah.
like an hour, you know, you do one sit down and like a brief PowerPoint presentation. And like this is not, you know, this is not some kind of like woke takeover of the whole system.
That was my thought as well. Like I literally was like, what percentage of his time at work was spent in DEI PowerPoint seminars where they were pushing, you know, the trans, gay, feminist, wokester agenda? It's got to be nothing. You still get to spend most of the time polishing your gun and like, you know, talking about your dick.
Yeah. Just like cleaning stuff and sitting around.
Yeah.
Cleaning your dick and sitting around. Yeah.
Isn't that what most of their time in the military is?
That's the army, basically.
Yeah.
His logic isn't really sound too. So like one of the reasons he doesn't like the DEI stuff is because it affects, it prevents people who are really well suited for the military from joining because they don't see the values. This is his argument. They don't see the values as being aligned with their own values of serving the nation and becoming a strong man and this kind of thing. And he says because of that, recruitment is way down because people don't want to join. But if they're trying to recruit from minority groups and that's the whole push, wouldn't recruitment kind of even out?
Yeah, and if the military is just like some soft, cushy job now, wouldn't you get more people applying?
Yeah,
that's one of the craziest things. Is like his basic, very basic argument is the military needs strong men to be strong fighters, and therefore we need to recruit strong men and make them stronger. Like that's like this really bizarre view of the military that actually sees everyone involved in fighting the enemy on the front line, which is a really low proportion of the people actually in the military. There's some statistic, I can't even, I have to look it up to double check it, but it's something like for every soldier deployed in an active conflict zone, you need like 10 or a dozen to support them in order
Filipino
to maintain
guys to serve the chow. And
Isn't it?
No,
isn't
I'm
it,
talking.
Isn't it the
about,
largest
like,
section is logistics? Like just
that's
trying
exactly
to
what I'm talking
move people and equipment around is like the largest employment.
It's logistics.
sector.
It's HR. It's purchasing. It's all that type of stuff. It's the many people that you need to do all that really boring stuff so that you have your however many guys deployed in active conflict zones. And from that angle, what does it matter what the drone operator who sits in Colorado, like they can be 300 pounds, but if they're 300 pounds and they're the best drone operator in the world, then who gives a shit? And the same thing if it's like the cook at Fort Knox or whatever, Fort Bragg, whatever fort we're talking about. If their career is doing that, then it doesn't really matter how much they can bench press. You know, it's really odd.
There was like a headline really recently that was like the Iran conflict because of all the U.S. military personnel moving off bases in the region. It was like the headline that was like Iran war, moving more U.S. soldiers into working remotely.
Sorry, is it now officially the term war? I thought it was still like a
special military operation,
targeted conflict operation or something like that. I don't think that the U.S. government is at war, according to them.
Right. Yeah. It's a special military operation. That's what they all are now, right? Nobody's actually at war.
The Iranians are calling it a war. If you can believe what they're saying.
They are too.
He has this idea of the military, and this is like how he speaks about the military. It's like this fantasy thing of this small group that are fighting, and everything's about like the bravery of those men that are like in the midst of the battle. And it's like it just that drove me nuts. It's so disconnected from like the entire structure underpinning it. So I was saying before about like drone being mentioned 5 times. Like you're not going to talk about the fact that that's like where wars are moving to, is people just driving drones around. Yeah. He
does say specifically, though, in fairness, that he could be in favor of having tiered standards for different positions. And he explicitly says, well, if you're a drone operator, you could be a little bit fatter. But he argues that he used the term gender cultist. The gender cultist wouldn't be into this because then you have fewer women qualifying for infantry.
But the thing is, like, the principal sort of dogma in the U.S. is to have as few troops on the ground as possible, like for worry about political ramifications and so on, right?
Right.
And sometimes there's aberrations there, but still it's something they try to avoid. So like, what's the goal here? Is to have your whole military focused on like hot guys that don't go into combat?
Yes, please.
Thousands of platoons of weekend Fox and Friends hoes just fighting Muslims. Like that's
but not
the
even
dream.
fight. You can't send them in though because they're too precious.
It's kind of like the marchers in China.
The Chinese marchers.
That's their whole gig. They work for the military and they just march.
And they do a damn good job at it too.
So good.
Yeah, it's just another way the U.S. is becoming China.
That's because on the point about like the women in the military, his stuff about like he's against women in the military because he says this many times. Women are weaker. Women have lower bone density. He mentions that a surprising number of times. They're less aggressive. They can't carry, a wounded man. They're less capable. And they're, et cetera, et cetera. And, potentially, and I'll admit I don't know, but potentially, that's an argument for not, making a 50-50 gender split in the special forces or even in the infantry in general. Like parts of the military that are actively engaged in like hand-to-hand combat, but that's really not very much of the military. So that argument that, oh, if they're involved in hand-to-hand combat, women won't be as good, therefore we shouldn't be trying to recruit women for the rest of the military, is just obviously doesn't really make any sense. It's taking that one unique situation, and it might not sound like it, it's counterintuitive, but hand-to-hand combat and fighting is a unique situation for the American military, for the average soldier.
He'll take sort of a data point or a nugget of fact and then extrapolate it beyond reason. Like he said, well, I used to be in favor. I didn't really care when they repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which allowed gays and lesbians to openly serve in the military. He said, but I changed my mind because I realized that it was just a thin edge of the wedge for all of this woke social engineering, and it was just a backdoor to get trans people into the military. And I've talked to a gay guy who says the same thing. You know, he said we weren't protesting the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell so they could bring in all the trans people, and they used me, and I feel as though I've been exploited. And so it's like, it's something that he does again and again in the book, where he'll take, for example, he speaks about the fact that the number of or the proportion of new white recruits has decreased in the last few years. And he says, well, that's got to be because we're not advertising to white guys anymore, and white guys don't see any sort of appeal in joining the military because it doesn't reflect their values and because it's too woke and DEI. Could be true, but he doesn't sort of offer any data for it. It could be a million different reasons why white guys aren't joining the military in the same proportion that they were a few years ago.
I was just going to say, I think there's not a single citation in the book. Like, he doesn't actually have, he doesn't. I
did the audiobook, so I don't know. Yeah. Are there references at the end of the book?
No, there's none. This is Pete's style. You know, he's like a little bit of a maverick.
Fully dialed in Pete. That's what you're getting 24/7. It's fully dialed in Pete, and he's off the sauce, so you know it's good stuff.
No, I was just going to say on that point about data, when he talks about the declining numbers of like white recruits, it's not clear what that means. Like, is it decline relatively? Because technically, relatively less of the population are white males. So is like the decline in recruitment product of that? It could also be a product of the military trying to recruit more educated people, and the white male population is likely to be less educated than much of the rest of the population. So yeah, it's just taken as a given that, you know, the wokesters are trying to get the tough, beautiful white guys out of the army and turn it over to the trans folks.
I think he's doing a little bit of fuzzy math there, because I was trying to look up the like recruitment numbers or whatever to see. And it seems like there's like a downturn in the U.S. post-COVID, largely attributed to post-pandemic, you know, economic disruption or whatever. But like, we're talking about like a couple % difference in you know, women entering the military or like minority groups versus white people. Like, it's very, very small. Recruitment's down a little bit, but then the way they're fixing it now is that they've just increased the maximum recruitment age. So he's not even targeting you know, young men. They're trying to get old guys into the military now.
Yeah. Beautiful old men.
Another thing
he's getting a bit older, you know, you got to get those like age guys in the military. Like when you're 45, you can't be just running after 20-year-old beautiful men. Sometimes you want to look at 45 beautiful.
Keep the gays out. We want the beautiful men in, put the gays out.
Beautiful white men.
That's sorry.
Talking about the recruiting, how like recruiting used to target white men. And he has like a bunch of gripes about this, but he doesn't like that recruitment now is all about like this will help you grow in your career. He talks about the old be all that you can be commercials and how he says like, oh, back then it was like all about being a warrior, not now where it's like, hey, join the military and it'll help you, you know, get a professional degree and blah, blah, blah. He sees that as kind of part of this whole softening of the military. So I wanted to share a clip from a Be All That You Can Be commercial from the early 90s,
nice.
Which I think this would have been likely one of the commercials that Pete watched as a young boy.
Made an impression on him.
Yeah, so I'm hoping my audio works here. Let me know.
Not I tapped some of your computer expertise, son.
So you finally gave in.
Yeah, for starters, how does the disk fit into the disk drive?
Okay.
The Army can train you to program, operate, or fix computers.
What does the printer interface do?
It lets the computer talk to the printer.
They talk to each other. What do they say?
And the computer training you get is yours forever.
Be all that you can be.
Like you're not going to be the only computer expert in the family.
Get an edge on life in the Army.
Dad's firing up his 14.4 modem so he can download some porn from AOL.
That's the really badass, warrior military recruitment that misses.
Soft.
Teaching you how to plug in a printer.
But in his defense, they were all white.
Yeah, it's true. For the audience, just to clarify, they were all white actors.
I don't know. Some of those kids might have been Irish.
Couple eye ties sneaking in. This is getting...
Quick question. When was this book written again? When was it released?
2021? Oh, is that recent? Okay.
It's recent.
Yeah, it's 2024.
I think one thing that's interesting about the book is, interesting is a generous word, but
there's nothing interesting about the book.
It's clearly like you realize how much of the changes that have taken place over the last year come from Hegseth. Like the idea of renaming it Secretary of Defense as Secretary of War is right in here. Everything he's been saying since he's been in the position of Secretary of Defense, it's all kind of in this book. It really makes you realize like, oh wow, this shit all comes from Hegseth. Like it's not from Trump, it's from Hegseth.
Installing a green room with a makeup table or makeup chair and stuff in his office.
Warm beers at St. Patrick's Day. No, but they kicked out all the trans from the military. The guy got his wish.
Yeah. And I guess the one other thing that's clearly in this book and is clear since Hegseth is in a position. It's kind of one of the last big themes of the book that we haven't really touched on is his idea about like how fighters are allowed to fight. Like one of his favorite phrases that he uses constantly and really makes him sound like a wiener is he's like, the goal should be maximum lethality. And he uses that phrase a lot, but he uses it a lot now in public. And it's basically just the idea that our soldiers are not dogs on a leash. We cut them loose and let them do what they want and let them fight how they know how to fight. Which basically, and he gripes a lot about like the rules of engagement that were used in Iraq.
100%.
And we got to give no quarter,
and give no quarter. Yeah, that's another
fucked.
One. Which is fucked for many different reasons, right? It's fucked because of like how morally wrong it is to shoot innocent civilians or to torture prisoners. But there's also like the utilitarian logic to it that if you do that to your prisoners, then your enemy is going to do it to theirs.
And he justifies it in the book by saying that they're already doing it, so we can't fight with one hand tied behind our back. And I'm glad you brought this up. This is chapter 11. This is the most important chapter in the book.
Definitely.
He always says maximum lethality, not tepid legality.
Yeah.
Which is, it sounds like a bad like beat poet, like slam poetry or something. Like
Whitey's on the moon.
Whitey is on the moon. Whitey's back. Whitey's back on the moon.
Fucking Whitey.
My sister Nell got bit by a rat, but Whitey's on the moon.
Whitey's on the moon.
Yeah. He says, "Hey, Al Qaeda, if you surrender, we might spare your life. If you do not, we will rip your arms off and feed them to hogs." And it's like, wow, really tough, man.
But it's
He's
also
such a tough
like,
guy.
Yeah, but that's why he sounds like a wiener. But there's also the other point that is being completely missing here is like his view of war, like the one in Iraq, is just tough white guys finding the bad guys. And he uses the phrase the bad guys. Well, completely forgetting the fact that like your enemy, the guerrillas or the insurgents, live in a civilian population. And the goal of the counterinsurgent is not just to kill the bad guys. It's also to win over the civilian population, right? That's partly why the U.S. lost in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Vietnam. Maximum lethality was never their issue. They killed a hell of a lot of people, and they did it constantly. Part of the problem with that is you kill the wrong people, and then you mobilize more people against yourself. And his only wiener story in the book, which is actually based around action, is where he tells the story of sometime at night, they're in a helicopter, they get dropped into this little village or this hamlet, and he's looking for the bad guys, and him and his goons go around kicking down doors, and all they find are women and children. And there's no comment about how obviously more terrified all those people would be and how radicalized every single one of them would have been against the United States. And his brilliant master plan is They get helicopters to come in and take away most of his guys, but he hangs back with 3 or 4 of his best boys, and then a couple of men return to the house. And in his explanation, it's because they're sneaking back because even dogs like to smell their own vomit. And I'm not even sure what that line was supposed to mean. But yeah, they're also just men returning to their homes. Yes, they left because they know you'll shoot them, and then they came back. And yeah, it is completely missing the fact that part of the reason for these rules is so that you don't kill innocent people. There's that moral side of it, but there's also the practical element so that you don't just mobilize everyone against you and create hundreds more recruits for your enemy.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of learning any lessons from U.S. occupations. He also, what's funny too is he's talking about the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. There was a suicide bombing in the U.S. retaliatory strike that killed a family UN worker as well. He mentions that earlier in the book, talking about the Biden administration. He's like, there was no accountability for this. There's no internal review. Like, what are they doing? They're committing war crimes. It's like, and then goes on to just say that's what they should be doing.
And then goes on to bomb a school in Iran while he's the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, exactly.
War, excuse me.
Quick aside, have you guys watched Folding Ideas, one of his latest videos about Jarhead and their sequels and stuff? Really great little YouTube piece about Jarhead being like this really, really good film about and critique of the U.S. military. And then some company purchased it, the rights to the films or the books or whatever, and then just made like a bunch of sequels that are just the complete opposite, that are just like really shitty action flicks. And I feel like Hegseth really, really likes the sequels and just hates the original kind of guy.
Right. So it's kind of like how like the beginning of the Ride of the Valkyrie scene in Apocalypse Now is like in isolation, like a badass scene. If you don't know anything else about the film or point. Yeah.
So I'll leave you guys with this. This is from 2019. While he was co-hosting Fox and Friends Weekend Edition, I think it's important. I used to watch a lot of Fox and Friends because it came on in the evening where I was. And I always looked down on the weekend crew as just being like the B squad. So I think it's important when you say that he's a Fox and Friends co-host to point out he was the part-time weekend Fox and Friends co-host. But anyways, from 2019, he says, quote, "I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years. Really, I don't wash my hands ever. I inoculate myself. Germs are not a real thing. I can't see them, therefore they're not real."
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
So something to
That's
something
manly.
to mull over. Yeah. He's a tough guy. He does not wash his hands. He does not believe in germ theory.
Piss hands.
All right, well,
Yeah.
Chip, Jane, Bo, anything else you guys want to add before we wrap this one up?
Final thoughts. I think that this book is just the same fucking shit that gets pumped out like every 2 weeks. It's applied to kind of a unique institution, the U.S. military, but it's still just the same culture war drivel. Pete, I think what's interesting maybe is him as a character. He's part of some kind of like male superficiality kind of arms race. Everything is like a performance.
I think there's a good chance he may have read Daybang and applied its learning.
He thought it was about fighting. Day bangs.
I think he read Day Drink, actually. He got mixed up.
That's right. Got him mixed up.
I'm gonna cast any dispersions about Day Drink, and let's stay on track here, fellas. Dr. Dashington.
One last thought in as just a final thought, because there was a quote that I wanted to read out.
As our esteemed military expert, please.
There's a part in the chapter titled "The Left's Very Special Forces," where he's complaining about women in the military, where he says, "All of the following statements are simple realities, which means the left finds them oppressive ideologies. Men are stronger than women. Men and women are different. Men like women and are distracted by women. Men respect other strong, skilled, dedicated men. Men don't give a shit what your skin color is as long as you get the job done. which all sounds ridiculous. But the last one especially is like, men aren't racist. So like, obviously not all men are racist, but some of them sure are. But in like his implication is that men aren't racist. So I guess the women and children are the ones who are racist.
He's too busy getting distracted by ladies to be racist.
Yeah.
I met some racist kids in my day, to be fair.
Yeah, true.
All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We succeeded. It was a real hard task we were up against. This book was brutal. We weren't sure at the beginning if we could actually squeeze an ounce of fun out. And I think we've done more than that. Chip, I want to thank you for leading this fantastic discussion at today's book club meeting. Bo, thank you for your insightful contributions as well. To all of you listening at home, thank you so much for sticking it out. We love having each and every one of you listen to this book club podcast every time we do it. Like, comment, subscribe, drop us a message. Our website is posbookclub.com. You can visit us on Reddit at our piece of shit book club. We are on YouTube, but forget about it because no one's updating that because no one views it. But you can email us. You know what? If you email us, you will be the first person ever to email POS Book Club. So get on it. You can write us. And I would much rather receive hate mail than something that says you like the podcast. That would like, if you send me a real angry piece of email, that would tickle me. So go ahead. We might be on TikTok. Yeah, Bo, you're giving me a look.
No, I'm just thinking that's a great idea for a new segment. We should start doing the mailbag and start at the beginning and start reading out all the negative reviews that we get.
If you can believe it, maybe we should give the email at the head of the show, or maybe we have to put it in the show notes because no one has emailed us ever in these 10 episodes that we've done. So yeah, email us.
We've gotten bad comments on Reddit.
We have gotten bad comments on Reddit. Yeah, posbookclub@gmail.com does work. So email us there. To all book club members, you're beautiful. Keep staying sexy. We'll see you at the next meeting. Bye-bye.